two, three. One, two, three. Let's go.
Guys, this is a very, very important, probably the most important show we've done. This is AZcrypto, this is MrFOMO, and we weren't around yesterday, not because we didn't want to, but we were traveling. We're both on vacation, but nothing's going to stop us doing the show today. We're going to start with some breaking news. Alameda Research has just tweeted, and you guys know Voyager filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy. Happy to return the Voyager loan and get our collateral back, whatever works for Voyager. So this looks right now like Alameda and Voyager. If you don't know, Alameda is also owned by FTX. That's Sam. It looks like they're playing nice. And it came out that Voyager actually was owed money, which is kind of weird, to FTX and Alameda. At the same time, they were giving him a loan. It was kind of confusing. And there was a time early when it was first filed that it seemed like maybe Sam wasn't happy because he pulled back the loan, but it looks like that was just procedural. And I'm getting the strong inclination, I'm not going to guarantee anything at all, that FTX is going to be a buyer here. I'm not going to guarantee it, but this tweet here, it's just very, very interesting that they would tweet this. They're giving them back the money. I believe that makes it easier for them to purchase the company. You know what I mean? Because this is going through bankruptcy court. We're going to buy you, but we still owe you $350 million.
Yeah, it makes sense.
So,
that clears a lot of the gray area up. It looked like FTX was out once all of this news was breaking the last couple of days. It looked like they were going to back out and that Voyager was going to be on their own again. But it seems like FTX is back on board. They're back into at least.
Well, supposedly they have 20.
Like Sam said, backstopping the crypto market, and at least for now, backstopping Voyager.
So supposedly they have 20 interested parties. We don't know who they are or how much interest they are. All of them require this bankruptcy. So unfortunately, this was needed.
The restructuring had to happen.
It was needed. Not saying it was needed, not a good thing. Once the decision was made on Friday to stop trading, this was the step they had to do. And guys, don't be naive. Listen to these Twitter Spaces. This was being worked on for a long time. You don't file a 500-page document. You know, we're merely educators, and we know you don't file a 500-page document, have lawyers read it over before you turn it over in 24 to 48 hours. It's not happening. There's no way in hell that this has been worked on for weeks. Okay. I think there was an effort in June to try to fix things. And I think once they realized they couldn't get it done, they had this plan in order because they filed June 5th, not June 6th. There's June 6th news. You look at the record, they filed June 5th. So you agree with me. This has been on the works for 2 weeks.
They've known that this has been coming down the line. And I think that's the most frustrating thing is that crypto is supposed to be, open source, open ledger. Everybody can see what's going on. And, at the end of the day, the place where we were buying our crypto was not open source, open ledger, or even open with us about what was going on with the business. And we were looking hard for connections to Three Arrows Capital. And you really had to dig to find it until they finally admitted that.
Well, we did know that they were exposed. The issue is they got the loan that day. And so, we got to blame ourselves. We were naive. We weren't the only ones. We thought, okay, they just got a loan. Everything's going to be okay. And they didn't. You go back to the Friday in the morning, they turned that date to July 1st for the rewards. Okay. It wasn't, you know what I'm trying to say? Like These are the reward. And people were thinking, oh, July, they're getting the same rewards. And then there was a tweet that said, hey, these aren't the rewards for July. An upcoming announcement will be happening later today. At that point, I had an uneasy feeling, but didn't act. And so,
I mean,
on me,
could you've placed so much trust in this. I mean, they
18 months. Yeah.
they wanted to be your new bank, and they wanted to show you that they could be trusted more than your bank. And at the end of the day, they really did not show us that. I mean, they've really let a lot of people down. There's people that are out there that are down hundreds of thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, of dollars that they had in BTC, USDC, and these other cryptos that they can't access right now. And we're of the thinking that at the end of the day, these people are going to get their value back, right?
Yeah. I
But
think
in the meantime, and in between time, that's not great for those people. I
well,
mean,
that first plan when people read it, that was scary. VGX stock, common stock,
I
part
can
of your
care less about
crypto.
those stock options. Don't give me those stock options. They can
Well, the problem with the common stock with a private company, where are you going to sell the stock?
Yeah, it's not listed anyway. It's delisted on the Toronto Stock Exchange.
No, but what I mean is, remember, yeah, that's the thing. You're assuming that they're getting relisted, but we'll talk about this later. The shareholders get the worst of it because they might get new stock. They'll get new stock, but if it's a private company, that stock is not. You can't go and just sell it that day.
Yeah, I mean, at least in if they gave us VGX, like we could move it off the platform and go to Coinbase or something.
And we'll talk about this right now. The idea that they're going to pay people back in VGX is a horrible plan because you know what's going to happen. As soon as the door is open, everyone's going to run to their phones. It's not on the computer. I was going to say computer, but they never got the desktop up. Let's call it what it is. That was one of the failures that was supposed to be up a year ago. And so everyone's going to run to their phones. That VGX is going to be sold so quickly, your head would spin. So
the value is going to drop so fast.
But that plan's never going to happen. They call a lot of people have correctly pointed out, looking at the documents, when you file for Chapter 11, you have to have a plan, even though you don't intend to use it. There's no way any rational person is going to say, well, we don't have your BTC and your USDC, so we're just going to print a bunch of VGX. Go at it. And here's the problem then. Okay. What about the person that logs in at 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, or 11 o'clock, or noon at 1 o'clock? All of a sudden, it was a 50,000 value in the morning. Now they're down to 25. That's not an equitable way to give people back their money. You're better off just liquidating everyone into cash at that point.
We just give them USD.
Yeah, because it's stable. VGX right now is done.
And I'm not even talking about USDC. I'm just talking about giving them their USD and allow them to transfer it wherever they please, to their bank, to their whatever. And at this point, I mean, what green flags are we actually seeing here, other than FTX may step in, that the restructuring may provide us with a new team, new leadership, a new direction? What other green flags other than that? I mean, that's not enough. You know what I mean? That when you're looking at this company, it makes you say, gosh, as much as I don't appreciate the returns I get with Coinbase, that might be the safest place to go.
Well, the safest place we've talked about this is probably cold wallets, but you eventually have to use an exchange to get cash.
That's not what mass adoption looks like.
No. I don't. Here's what I'm thinking. And again, we don't have any inside information. I think there will be a buyer. And so you're going to get a new leadership team. So you as an investor, and we will do this on the show, are going to have to dig deep. So Sam is a great guy. And FTX is very, very profitable. But the US version of FTX, not a great app, not user-friendly. So they could really use Voyager's technology. So it might be a really good marriage. You have the Voyager technology with someone that has really got deep pockets and got connections. I mean, everyone has seen the Seth Curry commercial with Shaq is talking. If Sam wants to do something with the Voyager token, Maybe you do hang on if you're a Voyager VGX holder because here's the thing, their token that they have is international token. It's not used in the US. We haven't talked about this. There is a scenario where VGX could be very valuable to FTX.
And
So
there is absolutely there's a scenario where VGX could come back and be valuable in its own
I
right.
mean, the market cap right now is insanely low.
There's just so many red flags here right now that it's not
Oh yeah.
to keep your money there or to think that, hey, yeah, give me VGX tokens and I'll keep smoking this hopium until you finally pull this thing off.
Well, and let's make it clear to our audience. That was the plan that was put out, that you're going to get your stuff back in 4 different ways: cash, part of your crypto, VGX, and shares. It's not going to happen. It's not. It's just not. It's not. It's not realistic. It's not. I think they just had to have a plan, just to show people that they could recover some of their money.
Right. And I think it's going to be a more complicated plan moving forward for customers and their crypto and
Well, we
now
don't know until the buyer comes in, right?
right. But I mean, like let's just predict moving forward that people are going to get some crypto back. And you see a company like Celsius right now who's been accused of using people's crypto in order to manipulate the market, commit fraud, or at least that's what they've been accused of. And so I don't think people are going to be in quite a mood, like we discussed in an earlier show, to lock up their crypto with Voyager and move forward to provide them with that liquidity.
But it won't. But again, it won't be Voyager.
That's our prediction.
I don't see a scenario where they continue. As the current, I don't see any scenario where they come back as themselves with the same leadership. FTX might keep the Voyager name.
I think the leadership team is gone. Though I think that I think maybe you keep one or two people just to keep people in house, so you know how the other side thinks. But you need a new leadership team that has a more sensible plan moving forward.
They have to. I mean, the thing is, FTX can scale. They can get the debit card out. They can get the desktop out. They can get the credit card out. They can get the stocks. They can get this thing into Europe. So FTX. I would
imagine any of those 20 buyers that you said, that people are alleging were there.
Well, it's in the documents.
Right. So any of those 20 buyers, I would imagine, have the money to start to jumpstart any one of those things. I don't think you go into something like that and go, I'm going to purchase this, but that's all the money we've got. Like, whoever is buying it is a big player. It's either FTX or, like we mentioned before, it's a big bank that
financial, or it could be a combination.
Right. They want to grab onto that infrastructure that Voyager has and just link it into their current infrastructure.
It could be a traditional banking with FTX. You don't know. You don't know.
Right. It could be a conglomerate. So you really don't know what's moving forward. There's a lot of question marks. There's a lot of red flags right now. And, there's good news there that FTX is going to pay that loan, that there's still going to be a partnership moving forward, that they're going to back.
Well, we don't know. We don't know. Let's make it clear. We don't know if there's going to be a partnership.
The partnership is they're going to pay their loan and they're going to back Voyager with a loan, and everything's going to be back to normal. But
well, it sucks. You haven't had access to your money in a week now, as we're recording the show.
I really think like the anger and the frustration you're seeing in me right now is just the idea that I can't access my money. Like, I think if I could access my money, probably some of it would still be in crypto. I don't know that it would be on the Voyager app, but I think I would move it probably. I don't think I'm completely done with crypto, but
I mean, you'd be crazy to get out of BTC now. It's it could go much low. Yeah, BTC. There is a doomsday scenario where BTC might hit 11 or 10K. But if you don't think BTC is getting to 30, 40, if you don't think BTC is getting back to 30, 40, 50 within the next few years, you just don't know the space. So right now, it got rejected at 22. We've had a mini run here the last couple of days. It's a great buy at 21 if you're willing to hold. I mean, it's a safe buy. When I say safe, if you have it in a place where you can you can have access to it and you have ownership of it. But I don't think leaving crypto is the answer. I think there's still some unbelievable um, opportunities. But what we've learned is you can't trust someone. You texted me about wait hold times. Um, when you have profits, if you don't take them, someone else will, and
Right.
then
And
and then you're going to regret
and
it.
I think it's important for people to make a distinction between their money. Your cash money is state money, and I've been reading this great book called Cloud Money. And cash money is state money. It's a state IOU. It's basically a promise from the government that says you can purchase goods and services. You can trade this for goods and services, and you'll be fine, right? But once you give it to the bank, they issue you digital chips or digital dollars, which is different money, right? They can take those other dollars and then they can loan out digital dollars to other people, digital IOUs. Well, that's essentially what your exchanges are doing to you. They're giving you digital IOUs. So you should think of these places not as necessarily exchanges, but places that can give you digital IOUs that can be settled later. And so when you start to think of these exchanges that way, you start to think of them in a way that's as unsafe as they actually are. You know what I mean? Like what we're seeing,
Brokerages, exchanges.
right?
Let's be clear.
What we're seeing with Voyager here is not something that's uncommon with other exchanges. They're giving you digital IOUs, and when they go into bankruptcy restructuring, maybe they have those actual Bitcoin, maybe they don't, and maybe they just have the actual value backed in their bank account that they can meet that digital IOU. But in the end, when you think about even your community bank, whatever bank you bank with, even Bank of America, when you put your money into it, they're only giving you digital IOUs back that
But it's FDIC insured
right,
up to
but
250.
still at the end of the day that you can manipulate the ledger with that bank card that you get, right? So when you look at these exchanges, you should think of them not as giving you actual crypto to hold on to, but as people, they're giving you IOUs until you pull it off and put it into your hard wallet, or until you trade it for cash. And so and then to understand that the two biggest cryptos in the market, Bitcoin is held for an average of 128 days, and Ethereum is held for an average of 101 days. So that should give you the idea of just the two best aren't even held for a full year, not even half a year, right? Not even 6 months.
And that's not including something like USDC, because that's very, very different.
That's different. But again,
Mhm.
your USDC is still just a digital IOU. It's a promise from the exchange that they will exchange that for US dollars when
At
you
some point.
cash it out. And so when you think of these exchanges and the fact that they're not FDIC insured, it makes taking profits that much more important, right?
Mhm.
You need to
Yeah.
be able to get that money liquid into USD and then over to your account very quickly. So when these red flags start popping up with some of these exchanges, you can move pretty fast.
All right, really, really fast. Bitcoin update. We hit 22. We got rejected. A lot of people are thinking that this is going to be a green month, and I was very skeptical. But the last few days, we had a pump. I see a lot of people calling for high 20s BTC. To me, this looks like a trap to get people to FOMO back in, and this is an exit for some of the big people to make a little bit of profit now during the bear. That's how I see it. I'm going to be honest. I don't think this is a big time rally at all. Nothing's changed in the world and in economics to think
We
that
haven't
we're
reached the halving. We haven't reached the
no.
gone from a Bitcoin fear and greed index just maybe a month ago, not even, of like 7 or 8, to a Bitcoin fear and greed index of about 20. Unless you believe that we're heading back into a bull market and this bear trend is ending, and I'm not your financial advisor, but I would not agree with that assessment.
I think
I
it's too
think
early.
it may be when we see a rejection at 22, that might be a time to look around your portfolio. And again, not your financial advisor, but it might be a good time to take profits. Like I did just before the show, I had something on Coinbase and I saw that we got rejected at 22. We sat there and talked about it for a second and I pulled those funds. So you make your profits, you pull
Good
your
decision.
profits, and right now you've got a price of somewhere around 21. I'm not even looking at it right now. But over the last couple of weeks, that's been sort of the high end of that little sandbox that we've been playing in. So maybe, if you think that this could be a trap, this might be a good time to take profits and then sit on the sideline till we drop back to 19, 18, 17, or your doomsday prediction of 11 or something like that.
I'm not predicting we go to 11. I'm just saying it's like a lot of bad things would have to happen in the world, and I don't think we're going below 10. In fact, I don't think we're getting to 11. It's impossible to time the bottom. What I'm telling you is there will be a day in the near future. When I say near future, in 2023, we get back to 30. There'll be a day where we get back to 40. By 2024, you better believe we're going to hit 50, 60. So if you want to be safe and be a Bitcoin maxi, you can, if you feel like you've been crushed with this Voyager situation, you can start there and then you can kind of work your way. I'm still very high, by the way, on Elrond and Avalanche. Unfortunately, those are trapped in the platform right now, but
And
I'm very high in those investments.
I was watching the Mets and Reds play tonight, and I think they're in Cincinnati, and Tezos has a big board up in center field. And you've got, like you said, Algorand, Avalanche. You look around, Ethereum's still out there. You've got some Cosmos, Atom. That's where I made a little bit of
Adam's been doing very well, and
right. That's
unfortunately,
where I made that 30% earlier that we talked about. So you've got some opportunities that are going to keep presenting themselves. Look for good projects, good utility, and an opportunity.
yeah, we'll keep bringing these up. I think there's money to be made. Unfortunately, if you're like us, a lot of it's trapped in Voyager, so you can't really maneuver. But I think there'll be money to be made.
Feel that pain.
VGX, and I know a lot of you watching are VGX holders. Until we know who's buying the company, it's just kind of complete guesses as to what's going to happen to it. If it is Sam, I think he has a reason to use it, and I actually think it long term could be very bullish. But we're not ready to make that show yet.
That somebody else could easily buy this and use that infrastructure. So I don't think that's out of the question. But for those of you who are out there hurting, find a way to focus on something else. Find, something that takes your mind off of it. Find some, somebody to talk to that helps you take your mind off of it. But whatever you got to do, try not to focus on this negative. And if you're really struggling, reach out and talk to somebody.
Yeah, I'm sure you're going to give your number out in the comments below. I'm just kidding. But guys, subscribe. We're getting closer to that 100 number. So here's what I want you to do. I want you to hit subscribe if you're watching this and haven't, or I want you to share it with a bunch of people so we can hit that 100. It helps us out. For Mr. FOMO, this is AZcrypto. Have a great day, everybody.
Yeah.